Good morning, students. Today, from your book First Flight, we are doing chapter number 2, Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Long Walk to Freedom is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela, South Africa's first black president. The chapter is an extract from the Long Walk to Freedom book. It includes the description of the inauguration ceremony and his journey to being a freedom fighter. It pays respect to countless people who fought for their freedom against apartheid. This lesson gives us an overview of the struggles of Mandela for making the society with no discrimination on the basis of their color, caste, race, age, or gender. 10th May dawned bright and clear. So, 10th May was a beautiful day, a historic moment, a historic occasion for the people of South Africa. It was a day when the first democratically elected government of South Africa was to be established, and Nelson Mandela was to take in a swearing ceremony as the first black president of South Africa. So the morning was bright and clear. That is, it was beautiful day. It started, it presented, it began with a full of hope. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. So, Nelson Mandela tells us that how for the past few days he had been busy. He had been busy. Why? Because he was besieged. He was surrounded closely by dignitaries and world leaders, that is, high officials, world leaders, and they were coming to him. They were coming to him. Why? They were coming to him to honor him, to respect him, and they were there to be the witness to the historic occasion. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of the international leaders on South African soil. So this inauguration ceremony that was taking place, it was a witness to the politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So it was the largest gathering and on the South African soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So this ceremony took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre, that is a large open theatre, and this was formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Pretoria is the capital of South Africa. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. For decades, this here stands for Union Building. So Union Building for decades had been the seat of white supremacy. That is, the white have ruled over there. That is, the white people have ruled and they have followed the system of apartheid. That is the practice of racial segregation. And it says, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different countries and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. For decades, this Union Building was a seat of white supremacy, but this day, 10th May, this Union Building is a seat of and a beautiful site of rainbow gathering. That is, people, various people coming together like the colors of rainbow, and various people, the politicians and the world leaders and people have gathered over there, and they have gathered for what? They have gathered over there for the installation of, that is, putting in a new position of authority of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. That is the government that does not believe in any racial discrimination. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zinani. On the podium, Mr. D. Clark was first sworn in as the second deputy president. So he says that how that beautiful day started. It was the autumn day, and Nelson Mandela came along with his daughter Zenani, and the first to take in the swearing or the oath was Mr. De Klerk. He took as the oath as a second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as the first deputy president. So first, the clerk took in as a swearing ceremony of second deputy president, and then the first deputy president Thabo Mbeki took in the swearing ceremony. When it was my turn, that is when Nelson Mandela came to take oath. I pledge to obey and uphold the Constitution. He took a pledge, he took a vow, he took an oath that he is going to abide by the Constitution. That is, he is going to respect and protect the Constitution. And to devote myself to the well being of the Republic and its people. That is, he is going to devote his life for the service of the country, for the welfare of the country. To the assembled guests and the watching world, as said. So then, after the oath taking ceremony, he addressed the gathering over there. Today, all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to a newborn liberty. So he says, today, all of us by our presence. That is, all the people from around the world have gathered in South Africa. With our presence, we confer, we give glory and hope to a newborn liberty. Newborn liberty, liberty is freedom. So they have this is a freedom that is born on that day, the freedom from the white supremacy. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. So it says that South Africa and its countrymen has experienced human disaster. Human disaster, that is, there was a racial segregation based on color, and the blacks have suffered a lot. They were not allowed to demand freedom or any right. So from that experience, from that human disaster that they experienced, today on this day a new society, that is a new non-racial society, is taking birth today. And this society, everyone would be proud. We who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. So he says, by till now we were outlaws, we were bandits. That is because of its policy of apartheid. Many countries had earlier broken off diplomatic relations with South Africa. But now on this very day, today, that is 10th of May, been given the rare privilege, that is, we have been given a special right to be host to the nations of the world on our soil. So approximately 180 dignitaries from 180 countries have gathered over there, and South Africa was the host. So it was a proud moment for the country. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. So he says to the distinguished people, to the officials, to the politicians, to the honored guests, that he is very thankful that they have gathered over there to for the ownership of the people of the country, that how every one of them have gathered over there for the common reason. The reason is victory of justice, peace and human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. So he says that now on this day we have achieved political emancipation, that is freedom, and they have achieved freedom, that now no white is going to oppress them, or nobody would be oppressed any in the name of color, in the name of race. And now everyone would enjoy the freedom, the social equal rights, the political rights. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. So, the government is taking a pledge that they are going to free people from all sort of slavery, the slavery of poverty, of deprivation. Deprivations mean that is state of not having one's benefit. and suffering, any sorts of suffering, gender and other discrimination. That is, from now onwards, this government, this anti-racist government is going to make sure that everyone is given equal social, political, economic rights. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. So it says now, never it will happen that the people of South Africa would witness or would become oppressed by any other country or any other people. They have already suffered this for approximately 3 centuries by white rule. So now they do not want that this day, from this day onwards, nobody would be oppressed in the name of color, of any other sort of discrimination. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. So it was a human achievement. What was the human achievement? The human achievement was the installation of democratic non-racial government. So it was a grand achievement. So now the sun will never set. It would bring glory to the country, to the people, through freedom to the people. The people would be provided all sorts of constitutional rights, and there would not be any day when the sun would set. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. So now onwards, the freedom is going to rule. Economic, social, political freedom would rule in the country of South Africa, and he wishes and prays to God to bless Africa.